Hello everyone. Well, I hope you've been enjoying the first Echoes of War we have in the game, the Infernal Dragon Feast, because we already have our next Echoes of War fight headed our way, a very intense looking boss with a very intense title. So, a lot of people I've seen did make some comments like they felt the first Echoes of War fight, the dragon, was just a reskin, recolored, slightly more challenging version of the trial fight with the dragon, and you would be correct. But as we can see here, we're already onto our next boss, and this one looks very intense. So let's take a look here, and if you don't see this menu, I'm going to show you how this works quickly. If you open the trial menu and the Echoes of War menu and you still see the dragon, in the bottom right you have the switch campaign menu. So then you see this list. We have the original Revived Siege Dragon, the Bane of Lures, and then a coming soon box here for even more amazing bosses headed our way. Now, what I want to do in today's video, without, obviously having a fight available in the game yet, I wanted to just go take a look at the way the boss's mechanics have been described in the game and take a look at them and try to understand what sort of strategies we might employ and just understand how this boss's mechanics works in general. So, without further ado, let's jump in and try to understand how this boss is going to work. Now, the first thing we will see here is this is in fact a 3-target fight. We have the main boss, the Bane of Lures, we have the Calamity Drake, and then we have the Calamity Hawthorn Wyvern. So you're going to have 3 targets to contend with in this fight, which always makes for a very, very fun and interesting fight. So let's take a look, starting with the main boss, to understand exactly what is going on here. So a lot of these abilities, I have looked at this already, a lot of these abilities are interlinked with each other, so I'm going to explain one and then link it into other abilities as we progress. So the first ability here is the Horn of Bane. So the Horn of Bane. The Bane of Lures passively gains 7 points of the Power of Bane every 1 second, and after the Horn of Calamity is destroyed, the Power of Bane is reset and starts accumulating again. So, how does this work? The way this works is the boss is going to have multiple targetable regions. You're going to have the Horn 1, Horn 2, and then the main body, which can all be separately targeted in addition to these other 2 targets, which is like this boss is absolutely crazy. And just thinking about it is getting my head. This is an insane boss. Let me just preface this by saying this is an insane boss. So people who complain about the first one being too easy, you asked for it. This is next level. So the way this works is you're going to have a horn that's targetable, 2 horns each targetable, and then the main body. So as we get through the rest of the abilities, I'll come back and talk about how this will work. But basically, how it works is when one of the horns is destroyed, it resets the stacks of this Power of Bane, and we're going to see as we progress through the skills how this Power of Bane affects the boss's skills. So next up we have the ability Ascension. After sticking the head into the sand and charging up, forcefully strike the current target, dealing 12,000% damage. 12,000% damage. That's a lot of damage. Compared to any other bosses we have in the game right now, this is a huge amount of damage. So even if the tank uses shield, which the tank, you can see here, this blue icon is going to recommend what ability you as a player should use to negate the effect of this ability. Here we have a damage resist for this Ascension. But yeah, even with the shield, 6,000% damage is still a lot of damage, so we'll have to see what this is, if a shield on its own is enough to deal with this damage output, or if the healer is going to have to actually pop barrier on top of the tank shielding this. But furthermore, look at this. Power of Bane. When the Power of Bane reaches 250 stacks, which we can see here is gained 7 stacks per 1 second, the damage is increased by 50%. And it inflicts deep wound effect for 15 seconds, dealing an additional 4,000% damage every 2 seconds. Do you know what this translates to? This translates to a dead tank. Let me put it that way. This translates to, you don't want this because this will kill your tank. So we have already the first ability where if the boss has too many Power of Bane stacks, 250, which would stack up in around roughly 45 to 50 seconds or so, around, yeah, about 40 seconds actually, this will absolutely murder your tank. You don't want that, nobody wants that, so you're going to want to have to somehow not have your Power of Bane stacks be above 250 when this ability goes off. Let's continue on. So our next ability, Calamity Sandstorm, has a cleanse tag on it, which means this is something that will be cleansed by the healer. So let's take a look. Open your mouth to spew at all enemies, dealing 1300% damage. And Power of Bane. When the Power of Bane is at 500 stacks, which is double what the previous one was, inflict Calamity Sandstorm on all affected units, dealing 400% damage every 2 seconds and reducing accuracy by 35%. So I assume this Calamity Sandstorm effect is going to be cleansable, since having that reduced accuracy and this damage output is going to be no good for the party. So whether or not you're going to want to prioritize clearing the stacks for this ability is unclear, because it seems that if this is cleansable, it's just going to be a party-wide damage, which might be mitigatable with barrier or banner, or both. So this is where it gets interesting. Next up we have the ability called Terrifying Face, and this is where this boss starts to really show its true colors, and trust me, buckle your seatbelts, because when you start to understand how crazy this boss is, you're going to be like, hold on a second. Wait a second now. Is this going to be doable or what? So when targeting Bane of Lures' main body, Fear stacks continuously. At 10 stacks, reduces the damage to its main body by 90% for 30 seconds. Similarly, when aiming at Bane of Lures' horns, Abrasion stacks continuously. At 10 stacks, reduces damage dealt to the horns by 90% for 30 seconds. This effect will no longer apply once both horns are shattered. So, here we have an ability where if you focus the main body for too long, you start dealing 90% reduced damage, and if you focus the horns for too long, you start dealing 90% reduced damage. So what does this mean for us as players? It means that we're going to have to probably employ a number of very different strategies in order to counteract this. Now, obviously the name of the game will be destroying the horns, because as you can see here, the Horn of Bane is stacking this Power of Bane. So assuming, this is an assumption, I've not looked at the other version of the game or seen videos of this, because I think it's more interesting for us to try to understand the abilities ourselves from just how it's written here before the boss arrives. In my mind, the way this is going to work is you're going to want to prioritize killing both of the horns ASAP, because that's going to stop it from stacking these Horn of Banes. Now, what could in fact be the case is that it says here that when a horn is destroyed, the power is reset and starts accumulating again. So maybe the way this will work is in fact that you have to plan when you're going to destroy a horn, so that you can destroy to reset the stacks and keep the other horn alive until you need that one to reset the stacks, because when you defeat the second horn, it's going to reset the stacks again, and then they'll start accumulating again. So it could actually be a fight of getting the horns low enough so that you can kill them when you need it to reset the stacks. And if you accidentally kill them in the wrong timing, you could break the fight. So that's actually pretty wild. So this could be a fight of timing exactly when you have to defeat the horns in order to reset the stacks and continue on with the fight. But then if you target the main body for too long, you're going to have this damage reduction, which means you're probably going to have to keep the ads alive then, so you could target swap to the ads in order to not get the damage reduction on the main body. This is crazy. Like, are you understanding exactly what I'm saying here? Like, this is crazy. This boss is insane. So we have these two ads, which we haven't even gotten to yet. Then we have this next ability here, Horn of Frenzy, which doesn't even have a description. Fully awaken and unleash the Power of Bane to the power to destroy anything. It could be, I don't know, is this a phase transition? It could be a phase transition, or it could be some damaging ability. If you leave the horns alive for too long, maybe it just auto wipes the whole party. We don't know. So I would assume this is either number one, a phase transition ability, or number two, a very bad ability that could happen if you leave both horns alive for too long. We'll find out when the boss comes. Now, I'm sorry, I'm lagging quite a bit. I keep dropping out of the skill descriptions here. So next up we have Adventurous Plight. A passive effect. The damage resist of all monsters gradually increases over time, and the recovery amount of adventurers gradually decreases over time. Great! If this boss wasn't hard enough, now we have another ability where it increases its damage resist over time, plus reduces our healing effectiveness over time. This boss just keeps on delivering insane stuff. Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very hard boss here. And I'm kind of like beside myself reading all this, wondering to myself, am I going to be able to clear this? Hello? I'm kidding, it's going to be clearable, but this is insane. So, Calamity Drake. let's take a look at the first of the ads here. Calamity Bite. After reciting for 3 seconds, deal 20,000% damage to the current target. Upon successful release, increase Power of Bane by 50. Okay, I mean, I paused for a second because I'm trying to now figure out in my head, how do you deal with an ad that's going to deal 20,000% damage on top of this other ability here that deals 12,000% damage, which you're already going to need a damage resist for, and then now you have to have a damage resist for this other ability from this ad, the Calamity Drake, which is going to deal another 20,000% damage and increase the Power of Bane? Well, so much for my idea about having to target swap to the ads. I think the ads have to die even before the horns do at this point. Because this is crazy. If this goes off while the boss is doing other abilities, it's a wipe. So anyway, bad. I'm assuming now, based on this, that we need to kill the ads first before we even look at the boss. Or because of the damage reduction. So it could be that, wow, I'm just theorizing here, but yeah, this is crazy. Anyway, next up we have the Calamity Hawthorn Wyvern. Blinding Mist, which is, both of its abilities are interruptible. Now, one thing that you need to know about interrupts, by the way, you don't have to target swap to the target to interrupt them, as long as there's an interruptible ability out of any of the available targets. If you just hit the interrupt button, it'll interrupt that skill. So, you have Blinding Mist, which is a sandstorm that sweeps across the battlefield, dealing damage and inflicting blind on all targets, reducing their basic attack accuracy, and increasing the evasion of allies, which means the boss and the other bosses. Frenzied Storm, also interruptible, summons a firestorm to sweep across the battlefield, dealing damage to hostile targets, and increasing the attack and attack speed of allies by 5 seconds. So, since these are both interruptible, I assume for this fight, because it's a 6-person fight, you'd probably have one or two of your DPS running their interrupt, the rest in pure DPS, so whoever the highest combat power in your party would not run the interrupt and run pure damage, while 2 of your DPS run the interrupt, and you'd interrupt this boss until it dies. So, anyway, I don't want to ramble on too much, but I hope you understand that for all of you who sat there and said, oh, the first Echoes of War is too easy, I hope you realize what you've created. I hope you realize what you've created, because we now have a boss here where I don't even understand how we're going to deal with all these insane abilities all simultaneously, all happening together with the 2 ads. This is going to be wild. So anyway, I just wanted to go through and just talk a little bit about this, because I'm blown away by what I'm reading here, and I can't wait to see how this boss is going to play out in person. So there you have it. Hope you're just as excited as I am to try to understand this boss fight when it comes, and you should look forward to a first clear video with better explanations on strategies when that comes. But for now, we're just talking a little bit about what we could expect with this fight based on what these skill descriptions read like. So there you have it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you found this video fun and interesting, and I will see you in the next one. Hit that like button if you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, hit that notification bell so you know when the next one will be uploaded. And of course, join the Discord if you have not already. I look forward to seeing you there. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you in the next video. Bye now.